Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So let's begin our session with a wonderful quote. Uh, Branding is not just about standing out, it's about being remembered, trusted, and chosen amidst the noise. It's the art of crafting an identity that resonates, connects, and leaves an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of your audience. Good evening, everyone. I am Shu, being your host for today's international webinar on the topic How You Can Stand Out. The importance of branding extends my warm greetings and a very good morning to all of you present here. In a crowded marketplace, branding is the beacon that guides consumers to your doorstep. It is not merely about differentiation, but about crafting a narrative that captivates, resonates, and leaves a lasting impression. A strong branding is the key to foregoing emotional connections, building trust, and standing out amidst the competition. Talking about SEMS Welfare Foundation, we are a Section 8 not for profit company registered under the Companies Act 2013 with various recognitions from Niti Aayog, MSME, MPCon, DDU, GKY, and more. Recognized as a startup by DIPP, MCI, and awarded Best Service Award for National Contribution. SEMS Group, with an active network of 5,000 plus professionals, published books, and an international journal organized education and health camps for underprivileged children, promoted digital and financial literacy, and contributed to society. Our initiative, DG Saksham, has developed content for 300 plus courses in IT, BFSI, retail, entrepreneurship, impacting diverse age groups. We have executed a skilling project for 600 initiatives, signed MOUs for training, collaborated with various organizations, and conducted international conferences. FemLeads, another SEMS initiatives, empowers women through workshops and newsletters, conducting awareness programs in digital literacy, marketing, and career development across different industries. We have impacted over 1,000 women across states and recently celebrated a milestone of a 100 women association with the program. On behalf of the whole SIMS family, I welcome you all for today international webinar on how you can stand out, the importance of branding, and to add to our guest of honor, today's speaker is Kashish Lewis. It is a great honor to have you with us, ma'am. We are grateful for your presence here with us today. Now, let me introduce you to the speaker, Kashish Lewis. With 6 plus years of experience in marketing, branding, event management, and hosting, she is a speaker, entrepreneur, and author from Bangalore, India. Also has organized, assisted, and hosted 85 plus events in her career and feel honored to have worked with celebrated athletes like Yuvraj Singh, Sanjay Sharma, and businessmen like Padma Shri Arvind Lal, and continue to participate in business events across the country. Her diverse skill set allows her to wear multiple hats. She is a graphic designer, web designer, content design writer, and a marketing professional with expertise in branding and events. She launched her own startup in June 2023 called Prepage. This business offers branding solutions to other small businesses. Her love for networking books travel, and poetry fuels her passion for exploration. She has contributed to 10 anthologies and published her solo debut poetry book, You, Me, and Love, in 2020. As an artist who believes in supporting other artists, she started Ink Feathers stage under Ink Feathers Publishing Private Limited in 2021. This passion project enabled 500 plus poets, storytellers, and musicians to present their art to a live audience across 5 plus cities.
Thank you so much, Anshu, and thanks to the SEMS Foundation for wonderful opportunity shared. It means much to be a part of a foundation that is creating so much impact across. All right. Well, the session topic is branding, and you must have heard this word a lot, especially after COVID. People have learned a lot about branding and being able to stand out. COVID introduced us to a big shift in our digital usage. Obviously, digital usage and digital presence has gone up by a lot since the COVID lockdown. Number one being that the consumption of digital content has increased. Therefore, making it even more important to be able to put yourself out as a brand. Are you able to hear me? Okay. Please keep your microphones on mute. You'll be able to hear me better and clear, and you will not disturb the rest of the session as well. I would prefer if you also treat this as an interaction and not just a presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and share my slides, but in between, I'm going to also ask questions, and I hope to receive answers. Even if you're not comfortable unmuting, you can put your answer in the chat box. Right. So what are we going to learn about today? What are we going to talk about today? One is personal branding and why it is important. We're going to learn about what it exactly means to have a personal brand. Secondly, we're going to learn about why it impacts your career. How does it help you grow? How does it help you stand out? And we're also going to get a few tips and tricks on how you can get started and start building, a personal brand for yourself. What are the tips and tricks or techniques that you need to use to start personal branding? All right, let's go ahead. Just a second, I will share my slide. All right. Why is brand identity so important? You've heard about all of these brands, all of these businesses focusing so much and so hard on personal branding, business branding, on setting themselves out in the market. But why is it so important? Anybody has any answers for this? I've got a direct message. Branding is important to be able to distinguish yourself in the market. Correct answer. Please share it on everyone so everyone can see it. Anybody else? Lena said
Yes.
to sustain the uniqueness of your brand. Correct. Image building. Correct answer. All right. Good answers. All correct answers. All right. So to understand brand identity a little better, I'm going to play a quick game with you all, right? Let's play one quick round of an activity so that you can distinguish what are the key factors that affect a brand and why it becomes so important. Here are a few instructions. You have to guess the brand, the business, by just an element that will be displayed on the screen. So I'm going to either display a logo or a color or a mascot or a font. And just by these elements, you'll have to take a quick guess as to what brand this is. So fastest fingers first, open your chat box or keep your mic unmuted if you want to play, and we'll get right in. Should I go ahead, share the first one? All right. Everybody's ready. Okay, this is pretty easy.
McDonald's.
McDonald's, correct. Absolutely correct answer. Why was it so easy to understand that this is McDonald's, right? The key differentiation in this is the mascot and the color. It is not the logo, it is not the picture. Let's quickly go back to the slide and see. There's no logo of McDonald's mentioned here, or there's no MCD written anywhere. It's just a clown with red hair, striped arms, and a balloony yellow suit. Just this much is so easy to understand that this is McDonald's. You don't need a logo, you don't need anything at all or a letter here to understand that this is McDonald's, just because the mascot is so widely used and so widely popular across the world. All right, good one. Thank you for the answer. Let's go to the next one. Guess this one. This is pretty easy to understand.
Zomato.
Zomato. Good, correct answer. And why is was this so easy to understand? There is no mention of the brand name. In fact, there is no mascot included here either. It is just the color and the font that is used, right? The style of posting. They have a red theme background with a solid white font that they use on top of it, and very simply they just put their brand name underneath. Just by this much you can quickly understand that this is Zomato. So the key differentiation factor here is their color, font style, and their consistent posting style. They consistently post in the same manner. You can even put in your answers in the chat box, everybody. All right, does anybody want to unmute and take this? There's 6 brands here.
Third one is Nike.
Nike, correct.
Fourth one Hyundai.
Fourth one is Hyundai. Okay, correct.
The first one is Tesla,
And last one is Adidas.
But
and the last is
Last
Adidas.
one is Adidas, correct. Fifth is Disney, correct. The first one, anybody got the first one?
Tesla.
Tesla, correct, correct. Absolutely right. Here, I have even removed the colors. The previous two slides, I was just showing you the colors. Here, I'm simply showing you outlines of not their logo. This is not their entire logo. This is not their entire logo. This is just an icon, a logo icon, or you can call it a brand icon that they use. It's a fair abstract drawing that makes the brand stand out, right? If you notice, this has absolutely nothing but just a pictorial representation of that brand. Now, imagine anywhere if you see a rounded tick, you're always going to think of Nike. Anywhere, if any other brand uses this, you're always going to think of Nike. This is Shell, by the way, if nobody understood this logo. This is Shell. And this one, the popular 3-line logo by Adidas. This brand has been capitalizing on the three line logos, abstractly just 3 line. They also have a new logo with 3 leaves and 3 lines across it, but they've capitalized on 3 abstract lines. No other business dares to use 3 lines now because they've capitalized it on it so hard, right? Let's go to the little bit of a harder level. Can anybody tell me what logo this is? Just by the color. Any guesses? This is a bit hard. You'll have to, if you want a hint, you'll have to dig back into your childhood to remember this logo.
Pogo.
Yes.
I think Pogo.
Correct. This is Pogo. This is, again, a very iconic logo that uses only colors, such distinctive colors to appeal to their audiences, and with simple fonts that talk about such a random word, such a random color combination, but it's so standout. And the reason they have used it that way, right? The differentiation factor is color. Let's see the next one. This is also pretty simple, but I put it as hard level just because it's not a very popularly used logo. Does anybody know what logo this is?
I think MasterCard.
Correct answer. This is MasterCard. Just by 2 circles of red and yellow, you're able to guess that this is MasterCard. This is what branding or brand identity means. This entire little activity that we had here is not to test your knowledge on businesses or brands, but business branding is not very different from personal branding. I know today's session we're talking about how you can stand out. You as an individual can stand out, but the techniques, the strategies that are used is not very far away from business branding. Businesses also use the same technique: standout colors, standout icons, standout fonts and design. But what do you use as a personal brand? It's just a very slight pivoting from the actual factors. In businesses, they rely very heavily on designing and their voice or the way they look outside. In a personal brand, it defines what you are from within. It defines your values, your skills, your discipline. It defines your consistency is a big part of it, and the way you come across to hiring agencies or to companies that are looking out for new employees, or in general to the audience that's listening and watching you. Let's understand what are the components that go into a personal brand, right? When I say personal brand, I'm not saying make yourself a logo, give yourself a color, give yourself some kind of an icon. That is not what I'm implying here. The technique is same, not the same exact features, but the technique that you use to personal branding is same. I'll explain how. Well, your personal branding is heavily dependent on your vision. Why your vision? Because what is it that you look at when you imagine yourself 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line? What is that you think of when you are looking at pursuing a career or creating an impact? What is your vision for yourself and for the world and the industry that you're working? Your personality. Now, when I say personality, I'm not referring exactly to your etiquette or to your moral values. I'm referring to how do you carry yourself? What kind of people you engage with, what kind of experience that you bring to the table. This defines your personality. For example, my personality, I'm very vocal. I'm a very vocal person. I'm an extrovert, and that makes me very vocal, very opinionated. I'm not afraid to put down my opinions, and I'm also not afraid to get a counter back. I'm not afraid to listen to a different opinion and still respect it. That is a big part of my personality. I'm very vocal when it comes to any problem. My first way of approach is to speak it out loud, is to communicate about it, and then listen to people's counter arguments. This speaks for my personality. So, what does your personality speak about? Right? Put it down in the chat box. Think about it. What is one key factor that is about you that probably is one of the definitions of your name, right? For me, it would be like, as I said, I'm very vocal. So Kashish equals to vocal for me. What is it for you? Are you a person that is an empathizer? That means you're a good listener. Are you a problem solver? Are you a critical thinker? Are you somebody who uses heavily design thinking strategies in everyday life? What is your personality? Put it in the chat box. Lena friendly. I like that. I like that. She's Lena friendly. Nice. Bold. Okay, that's a good word. Bold. How would you define yourself as bold? Are you bold in taking risks? Are you bold in standing up for what you believe in? What give me some more color. What bold defines for you? Critical thinker, good one. So you are probably good at thinking on your feet and solving problems. Right. So this is what I mean when I say personality. Understand and introspect your personality first. And
Bold to take decisions.
sorry?
Bold to take
Take
decisions.
Okay, so you're bold and quick at making decisions. Good one.
Yeah.
So you have a higher risk appetite to take bigger decisions, is what you mean.
Yeah.
Good one. Good one. That's a very nice trait. So now, when you've introspected and you've understood what your personality is, you have a big leverage. You can leverage it in a big manner. You have a big upper hand over conversations when you know yourself. Now, when I know that I'm vocal, I'm a person who likes to put opinion. I try and use that during my interviews, right? I try and use that when I'm speaking to a person or a colleague from my office. I try and use that when I'm speaking to my clients on a day-to-day basis. I speak very vocally to my team members, which is my employees that work in my company. So I leverage my personality. When you understand and you've introspected and you've got an understanding about what makes you different, you leverage that as much as possible whenever, in whatever manner it is applicable, right? So I try and highlight this in my interview. I try and tell them that every point I scrutinize it down to the level. I ask questions. I try to understand the process even more deeply. When they're interviewing, I also try to ask what they are expecting out of me in 5 years or 3 years, and what is the long-term relationship that they're looking at with their employees. I also ask what they can bring to the table for me. By asking these kind of questions, I establish this personality of being vocal. So this is the personality that I'm talking about. That is a very big part of your personal brand. Thirdly, your values. What values do you bring to the table? For example, some people respect punctuality a lot. They love being on time. And being on time is a part of them. It defines them. It is a very key component to who they are as a person. So this is something that you need to introspect as well. What are the top 5 values that you bring to the table, right? Discipline, good one. Gansham, it's also one of the most what can I say, it's the most valued principles that people really appreciate in somebody. So discipline, good one. For me, one of my key values is being able to be adaptable. I am I can adapt to a situation no matter what. And this comes from me moving across cities in my childhood. I've moved multiple cities and I've switched houses so much. I've switched neighborhood and I've switched, colleges and all of that as well. So this has helped me, including startups. I've worked with at least 8 to 10 startups in the initial part of my career. And now I've worked with more, but in the initial stages, I was immediately working with about 8 startups within a span of a year. So this helped me become very agile. I am currently very adaptable to any scenario that is presented to me, or if you put me in a very new environment, I am going to take some time to warm up to it, but I can very quickly listen and adapt to your working style or to the company's value. So this is something that I bring to the table. Cooperative and commitment. Okay, good one. Integration. Okay, nice one. Sujata, would you like to elaborate on how you put integration as something that is a good value for you? Cooperative is something
Ma'am,
big word.
yes.
Yes.
Ma'am, integration means it is auto-directed. You not pressurized by anybody,
Mm-hmm.
but you do accomplish any job without anyone's intervention.
Got it. Got it. Good one. This is a good, very good example. And thank you so much for sharing your. All right. So this is the values that I was talking about. What I would like you to do is take a screenshot of this and make yourself a quick document. What is your vision? What is your personality? What is your value? Write this down and think about it for some time before you go ahead and put your next resume somewhere else, right? Fourth point, authenticity. This is something that even Instagram is pushing right now, right? If you've noticed, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of the social media platforms are encouraging more and more authentic influencers, authentic people and voices. What do you mean by authenticity? Now, there is no single definition of it, but I would probably look at authenticity in this manner. I, as a person, am very transparent and I believe in being very realistic with my approach. And that makes me authentic. That makes me real. That makes me stand out. And that makes me add value to the table. So while maintaining authenticity, it doesn't mean that you're the same person, individual at home, and same person in the office. That's not being authentic. But authentic here would mean your significance, your individual personality that you bring to the table and how you bring that to the table, right? Are you true to yourself? Are you true to your peers? Do you stick to your values no matter given any situation? That makes you authentic. That makes you different and that makes you reliable, very heavily reliable. So your authenticity, that means you are approachable no matter what. You are able to stick to the values that you had promised and committed, right? During your resume, you have put in all of these great words and big experiences, but you are ensuring that that is the same level of authenticity that you bring. So your this comes at a very personal level, is you being able to be super authentic and real with who you are. With now this comes with a very big question mark. Are you ready to accept yourself? Because there are a lot of shortcomings we all have as an individual. I struggled a lot with being able to actually share what I was doing at my workplace. For example, I was never able to speak and highlight what I was doing at my workplace, right? For example, if I'm working on a task, I struggled to word it out in words. I know I said I'm a very vocal person, so it's very ironic, right? But this was one of the biggest drawbacks that I had, right? I was struggling so much to be vocal about the task I was working on. I was vocal about everything else. I'm such a speaker. I communicate to my colleagues very regularly, but I struggled to talk about the tasks I had at hand. I struggled to talk about the shortcomings that I was facing when I was doing a task. I struggled to ask for help, and I struggled to highlight my weaknesses to get help. So this is what I'm talking about when I share about how do you accept yourself. This is a big part of being authentic. If you want to be authentic, you also have to accept your shortcomings and be able to work on it in an open environment. Hiding them is doing you no good. Hiding them doesn't make you authentic, right? All right, moving on. Let's go to the next point, commitment. Now, this is something that you guys shared as a value. This almost qualifies as a value, but the reason commitment stands out as a key factor in a personal brand is not your commitment to your job or to your workplace. That is one part of your value, but your commitment to yourself, your commitment to building a personal brand, your commitment to unlearning and relearning for yourself. This is what I mean by commitment. To be able to build a personal brand, you need to have commitment. You need to start regularly building a pattern for yourself. Every day you wake up, you do some set of activities, and you close the day by analyzing those certain activities. This is how is one step further to building a personal brand. Differentiation. You work by applying all of these, right? By applying commitment, authenticity, value, personality, vision. If you follow all of these 5 points that I've mentioned on top, your differentiation part automatically kicks in. Know why you are different and highlight that as much as possible. Every individual has a different working style and has a different set of values that you bring to the table. Don't be afraid to say that out loud, right? Don't feel like if you're going to be saying that out loud, that's going to make you a proud person. Very often we are taught this, right? You should not be hiding. You should not talk about your own abilities. You should not highlight what you do good. This might come off as an egoistic person or a proud person, but you have to learn to do it. Otherwise, people are going to ignore you. To be able to establish a personal brand, you should be confident enough in your abilities to be able to differentiate in the market. If you don't speak and share why you are different, nobody's even going to look at this. Nobody's even never going to know, right? So this is exactly what I mean by personal brand. Does anybody have any questions so far about personal branding, about what is a personal brand? And personal brand goes beyond your resume, right? Your resume is not your full personal brand. Your resume is just a part of it. Your resume is just one part of it. Does anybody have any further questions about this? No? If you have no questions, give me a thumbs up so I know that I can
It,
go ahead.
it, it varies from age to age, isn't it?
It varies from age to age. Your personal brand, is that what you mean?
Personal brand means my own image. It differs from age to age.
Right,
As,
your own
as I
image as
grow.
you grow is what you're saying with your
Yeah,
age
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Absolutely, it's true. It's true. As and when you acquire more experience, your personal brand is definitely going to move along with. Today, you're probably a different personality. 5 years down the line, you're going to be a different person altogether. And your personal brand is going to change. It's not going to be stagnant. For example, Apple also was not the same 10, 15 years ago, right? Or let's say any other business brand for that matter. Even Elon Musk was not the same man he is today, right? Or Oprah, she's not the same person she is 10, 20 years ago. Any person you pick in the world, they all have a significant personality. Shah Rukh Khan, for example, he's changed a lot from who he was 10, 20 years ago. That is consistent. Change is going to be constant, but your business brand, your personal brand is going to be just like another business brand. You'll have to rework on your logo. You have to, this is a metaphor, by the way. You'll have to rework on your logo. You'll have to introduce new features. You're going to put out new updates, right? About your software changes. So this is what it means. You adapt yourself to even that constant change. So very good point, Gansham. Thank you so much for adding that. Really adds a very different point to what I was presenting. All right, let's move forward into the presentation. Gansham also shares controlling your emotions. This is also very important. I'll come back to this point very quickly at the end of my presentation, and I'll tell you why this was also one of my drawbacks, controlling my emotions. I'll quickly get back to that as soon as I finish this slide. How now we've understood how you're going to define your personal brand. What is it? We've understood what you can do to introspect and start thinking about your personal brand. But how do you exactly build it? You've understood all of this. You've understood that you need to know your vision, you need to understand your commitment, your values, and blah blah blah. But how are you going to implement it? How are you going to execute it? Right? Anybody has any ideas other than your resume? Your resume is one part of it. Going back to your resume and revamping it, keeping these points in mind when you're building your resumes, you need to highlight all of this to be able to establish yourself as a personal identity. To give yourself that identity, you need to ensure your resume highlights all of this. But that is just one part of it. Anybody has any other ideas or suggestions of how you can build your personal brand?
Yes. To enhance my personality, I have to be very
Very sorry. I think your voice cut off at the end. Okay, you can probably put it in the chat box. Your voice cut off. Yes,
Health
guys.
conscious. I should be health conscious. Do exercise regularly. Have a good diet and meditation, yoga, or prayer. All these things are daily part of the life.
Right. I would say good point to maintain discipline, which is a big part of your personal brand, is to maintain commitment and discipline. To be able to do that, you definitely have to do that. Now, I would say maybe person to person, these factors are going to differ. Right. For me, it is continuous learning and research. Right. I research a lot. I read a lot. And that is one of the key factors to my personal brand. For some people, as Sir mentioned, it is about health or going on a diet and meditation. For some people, it is going to be about yoga and being in one with the universe. For some people, it is also going to be about their faith. Their faith defines them as well. So, to each their own, you have to figure out what route you're going to take, what path you're going to take to build your personal brand. All right, so let's understand what are the 3 steps that you can start showing yourself as a brand and not just a person, but going beyond that and establishing an identity. First is your consistency. Yeah, your consistency in maintaining your value. Now, you can't have all of your values, all of this here that I said, and your including your personal values like being able to empathize, being able to listen well, being able to let people grow and grow with them, to be able to appreciate, etc., etc. Whatever values you have, it's not possible without consistency. You cannot be punctual today and then not be punctual tomorrow. You cannot be empathetic today and not be empathetic tomorrow. You will have good days and bad days. Yes, correct. We cannot be at our 100% every day. But your consistency is not giving 100 every day, is showing up every day. Your consistency is in line with showing up more than doing your best, right? For example, in your workplace, once you've gotten, like, let's say you've been promoted to a really good job that requires a lot of responsibility and action every day. And now you have to show up at your office at 9 in the morning every single day. And you have a certain task list that you have to go through every single day. Now, how would you highlight your value here? Your value of being punctual is not just by showing up every single day at 9. Maybe that's not exactly, that's one method to it. But what I mean to say is you establish your consistency where it is crucially required every single day. Your peers, your colleagues, your subordinates are going to look up to you when you're in that role. So you showing up every day is what will matter, right? If they are not able to be reliable on you, if you are not reliable, if you are not able to show that consistency, then your values and your skills will not matter. So your values and your skills that you are probably possessing, you need to try and be consistent with that. Now, this is something that I work on every day. This is not something that I have got inbuilt, or I'm not preaching because I'm so perfect with it. I learn to be consistent every day. I'm still learning. And I continue to learn with every task that I get. I try and be consistent with the way I present myself every day to my client meeting. I try and be consistent in my approach to my team, whereas I show up every day to my team to be approachable. I am consistent with being there for them. That means I am constantly picking up calls or talking to them or trying to resolve something in the team. And this creates that consistency factor. Now, some days I have slipped as well, and I'm pretty sure you all will do too. But consistency is not that one single line, right? Consistency means you're still on that line and you're moving forward. Today, you're going to take 2 steps. Tomorrow, you might just take 1 step. Some days, you're going to take 3 steps ahead. But consistency matters. The whole matter here at hand is that you're walking, is that you're taking that step forward, right? So that is consistency for you in your personal brand. In your personal branding, frequency also matters a lot. How often are you able to put yourself out there? On social media, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube? How is your social presence? I know many of you might say that you are not very tech savvy, you might not be a very social person, but you can adapt some other methodologies like showing up on WhatsApp every day. Maybe you have a small community that you're a part of in person. I'm not talking about digital, I'm talking about in person. Maybe you're a part of a book club that you go to regularly every day. So how often are you able to show your presence there and establish your brand identity there, right? When I go to a book club, I'm probably every day after the book club, I probably stay back and connect and network with a few people and talk to them about my work. This is a part of me. This is what I do. This is what helps me establish my personal brand wherever I go. Not just a book club, but anywhere. Even if I go for like a family gathering or a friends gathering, I end up talking about what I'm experiencing, my stories, or what happened at work or in personal life or anything at all, but I'm ensuring I'm communicating that. So, what is your frequency of sharing your story? How often do you talk about your values and your experience? I'm pretty sure some of you here are having 3-4 years of experience, or maybe more, or 2 years of experience, or 5 years of experience. Whatever you have learned so far, how often, how frequent are you sharing that how often are you passing that down to somebody else? How often are you creating that impact? This is what helps your personal brand, right? Your visibility. Now, this is something that I really love. How are you creating your visibility outside of your resume, right? Your resume is one part of it. Good resumes are really probably a small dot in your hiring process. And honestly, resumes don't get you hired anymore. Yeah, that's true. The breakthrough, guys. I mean, breakthrough in the hiring process. People don't look at resumes alone. The first thing that I do when I'm hiring somebody is I go and check their LinkedIn. I give them a phone call and I talk to them on that call. And on that call, if that person is able to highlight their personal brand, their values, their frequencies, what they engage in, what commitment levels they have, if they're able to highlight all of this on that call, I don't even need to look at a resume. So this is the new hiring process today. This is the new world of employability. This is the new world of getting better jobs. Half of the promotions that happen are on the basis of referrals. They are not only on the basis of resumes. 90% of the time, the referrals that are given by managers are taken very closely into consideration. So if you're networking and you're building your personal brand and you're setting that identity, people start recognizing you and remembering you, you're more likely to be recommended by somebody to someone at a job, right? So your visibility, create a good portfolio on your LinkedIn. If you've done a lot of work, let's say you have 15 plus years of experience in designing or website making, ensure that you've built a website for yourself. Create a blog, write a blog. You can even put a Wattpad page for that example. Anything, any social media platform that you are comfortable with, use that. The problem is, in today's world, we don't have any more room for not being tech savvy. We have to adapt and grow to the technological world that is evolving around us. Constantly, AI is bringing new inventions and breakthroughs and features to our market. And if we are not tech savvy, we're going to probably get outdated, right? We're all going to get outdated if you are not tech savvy. So you'll have to adapt and learn and try and establish your visibility in some manner or the other. All right. So this is 3 steps, and some of the pointers that are important to building a personal brand in this 3 steps is picking a niche. You cannot speak about 10 different topics at the same time all the time, right? So pick a niche. For example, I have spent quite a lot of time in marketing and branding and creative industry. So my niche is the creative industry. Now, in the creative industry, I've done multiple things. I've done branding, I've done events, I've done content writing, I've done web development, I've done graphic designing, I have done, being a speaker, public speaker, or, attending panel discussions or being a part of it, hosting interviews. I've done multiple things. But my main umbrella has always been creative services. What is your umbrella? Have you picked out an umbrella for yourself yet? If not, introspect. If you're a cloud engineer, that is your umbrella. Technology and cloud is your umbrella. If you are a coder, then that is your umbrella. Your coding innovations, your new breakthroughs in coding, or patterns in coding, or languages that you have learned in your coding industry. So have you picked out your umbrella yet? If you're a sports person, then obviously your umbrella resonates with that. It resonates to health, fitness, and sport. In an umbrella, you can have multiple things, but it still comes under one big bubble that you've created, right? So you could be an engineer and a businessman, and that could be your umbrella. You could create your own. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody says if you're an engineer, you cannot talk about business. You can. There's so many engineers today that talk about creative businesses, and they add a little bit of that engineer touch to that, right? They add a little bit of their technological knowledge to that. So, what approach you take is up to you, but pick a niche. I'll give you one example of this amazing influencer that I love, KK Create. You can go check her page on Instagram, kk.create, Kreate. And this influencer talks about geography. Now, when she talks about geography, she doesn't just talk about geography, right? She talks about culture, diversity, languages, food. She talks about history. She talks about sociology. She talks about politics, about traveling, about exploration, about adventure. Now, multiple things fall under the umbrella of geography, but every single day she shows up on her Instagram page and shares something in geography, something about geography. So, this is your niche that you need to pick. Pick a niche and stick to it. If you want to become a teacher, let's say you want to become a lecturer, your knowledge sharing should not go away. Every day, show up on your LinkedIn and teach. Teach something. Create a course, create a module. It's so easy today. You have access to millions of resources on the internet. You can open a Zoom meeting, hit record, and start teaching. Start teaching and upload those videos on Instagram. Upload those videos on YouTube. You can do everything that you want from the convenience of your house today. So when you pick a niche, try and explore within that niche. Now, you could be a teacher and a software engineer. You could have a full-time job as a software engineer, but if you are a teacher, then do something to pick that niche and stick to it, right? So this is about picking your niche, establishing a pattern. As I mentioned, every day, get up, show up, right? And do something. Now that needs a particular pattern. Let's say I'm not saying when I say pattern, the reason I did not mention routine here is because I personally don't have a routine either. I'm a person who likes to take one day as it comes. I don't maintain a month advance calendar. I schedule my calendar almost every day. I don't know what I'm working on tomorrow until one night before. I get a call for a client meeting, I'm there. I get a call for an event next week, I'm there. So my job demands me to be fluid. So this is one of the reasons my pattern is not a routine, but my pattern is communicating, traveling, and showing up, and being in planning in the spur of the moment. Now when I say pattern, my pattern is I wake up every day, I look at my to-do list, I look at what are the things I have to do, I dial some phone calls, I check, I follow up with people about certain tasks that I have, I end the day with a self analysis that I do. This is my pattern. You can establish your own pattern. I wake up at about 8 9 a.m. in the morning. Some people like to wake up at about 5 a.m. in the morning. Some people like to wake up at 11 a.m. in the morning. But that's up to you. But follow a pattern, right? Not having a pattern can make you feel disruptive, can make you feel lazy, can make you feel less productive. 2 years ago, I had a very terrible pattern. I didn't know what I was doing every day. I mean, I still don't know what jobs I'm doing, but I know that every day I'm going to wake up at this time. I make a really lovely meal for myself in the afternoon, and I drink one smoothie, and I rely on that consistency. I rely on that pattern, and I rely on the pattern of self introspection. Every day when I go to bed, I take at least 10 minutes to think about the day and what could have been better about it, or what things I could have done better about it. And that gives me peace. That gives me a pattern. So your pattern doesn't have to look like have to look exactly like, a routine, but you need to have a certain pattern of approach that you're taking every day. This helps you build a personal brand. Now, unlearning and relearning. I cannot stress much on this than I could on the next point, but unlearning and relearning is something that I've learned very recently. I would say hardly, I think 7 months ago, I have been introduced to this amazing process of unlearning and relearning. And I'll tell you why. I used to move a lot before. I mentioned, right? I moved a lot of cities, I moved a lot of places, I moved a lot of homes. And I noticed that I've been doing this since forever. Since all my childhood, I have been unlearning and relearning. But I never paid attention to it. Pay attention to what you're unlearning and relearning. When I say unlearning and relearning, I am trying to say be open to change and adapt to what is coming next. Don't be afraid to unlearn what you have learned. What you have learned 5 months ago, you might have to completely unlearn that and relearn a new concept when you're working. When you are in a corporate setting, you will be required to unlearn and relearn almost every other week. You might have to unlearn and relearn an entire process. You might have to unlearn and relearn an entire approach or an operating procedure or a feedback procedure that you're giving to your clients. You might have to unlearn and relearn every step of your life. And your personal brand should voice this part out very loudly. You need to be able to unlearn and relearn to be able to maintain your brand. Just somebody had mentioned about Gansham. Yeah. You had mentioned that with age and experience, your personal brand grows. This is the point that helps your personal brand grow. Today, your personal brand is going to be different. Tomorrow is going to be different, but it still remains a brand. At your core, it still remains a personal identity. You might be different tomorrow. Today, you might look a 10, tomorrow, you might look an 8, but you are still you. So, this unlearning and relearning process, if you're not open to it, if you say, this is how we do it 10 years ago, this is how I'm going to do it, this is how I'm going to continue to do it for the rest of my life, my generation was better, the older generation was better, 10 decades ago things were better, today's world is Kali Yuga and it's not good. If you're going to stick to this principle and personality, you might never ever learn to grow. You have to accept it. No matter if you don't like it also, you will have to accept it and relearn a process at any given point of time. So this is a big part of your personal branding, and you need to continue to keep this as one of its cores that you're going to implement. Maintaining discipline. Now, out of everything, last point is define your own discipline. I do not believe that there is one form of discipline. That is, wake up at 5 a.m., exercise, come back home, work till 5 p.m. in the evening, go back to your family, have a dinner and sleep, and repeat that process for the rest of your life. No, that's not what I mean by discipline. When I say maintain discipline, I'm not talking about eat the same kind of food every day. I'm saying cook every day. You don't have to eat the same dish. You don't have to eat, follow the same recipe. You can experiment. Today you're making fried rice. Tomorrow you can add spring onion in that fried rice. The day after tomorrow you can add potatoes in that same fried rice. And a day after that you could add some chicken in that same fried rice. So the fried rice might remain the same. Your ingredients can always change. Your discipline does not mean that you follow the same thing over and over again. Your discipline means you stick to some values and some personality that you bring to the table and keep continuing to do that every day. Maintain discipline in the form of your work, respect the people that you're talking to on an everyday basis, and continue to do that. And that's the best form of discipline that you can establish for yourself in the long run. All right, this is what we had for most of the session. I'm going to quickly wrap up in the next 5 minutes. Is the last point that we were going to discuss. How does all of this have an impact on your career? We discussed so many points, right? We discussed all of these points that you're going to do. Your question is going to be, is this really going to help me get a job? Is this, unlearning, relearning process, maintaining discipline, is this going to help me land a job? The truth is, yes, it will. The personality that you build reflects very quickly in your work. So when you are building a personal brand, remember that there are big, big advantages to your career. And this is why you need to follow it very rigorously if you want your career to grow at the scale that you want to, right? This helped me come from a complete freelancing role to having a company of 30 individuals today. My small business that I established last year, it is still a very small business. We continue to learn and grow every day. But within 1 year, I was able to learn how to build a team of 30 individuals and manage them. 30 plus, actually. Sometimes we have 40 people in the team. So only the process of this has helped me evolve, and I still continue to evolve. I am not an expert on personal branding. I'm just here to share my experience on it and help you get a clear picture of what I have utilized. These are the techniques that I have used, and these are the techniques that has helped me grow in a span of 6 years to having my own company today. So one biggest advantage that I have learned is I have built strong connections, because by following a personal brand, people identify me much faster today. People that I worked with in previous companies, people that I have gone to school with, people that I talk to in gatherings, they see me on my Instagram and they notice me. They remember me. They remember that this girl used to talk a lot. They remember that this girl, has a very opinionated approach to everything. They remember that this girl always had something new to bring to the table, right? Not to brag or anything, but this is who I am at core, and I'm simply sharing that with you. So this is what helped me build very strong and impactful connections today. I have a community of about 2,000 people that I interact with every day today on WhatsApp. I speak to them, I connect with them on at least a regular basis. 50 people I'm talking to on at least 2 or 3 days about my work or about my personal life, about anything. How many people are you talking to every day? Notice that. How many new connections are you making every day? Notice that, right? Controlling your narrative. This is something that is so impactful for me. By building a personal brand, I control my own story. I have a big control on my own life today. I'm not, oh, wherever the career takes me, I'm going to go there. I'm going to build my next opportunity. I'm going to create my next opportunity. I'm not going to wait around saying that opportunity will come knocking at my door. I'm going out there and finding opportunities every single day to work with a new client, to work with a new business, or to work with an individual. So you have complete control on your life and your career when you start building a personal brand, because you know what you want, right? Demonstrating your abilities. The third advantage of building a personal brand is now you have gained a lot of confidence. When you know yourself in and out and you're not afraid to put it on paper, you are able to demonstrate your abilities much more better. And fourth, growing your reach. This is a little different than networking. Growing your reach means growing the impact that you have on people. Increasing the number of people that you interact with increases the impact that you're able to. Right. A quick thing that I had shared previously is doing that self analysis that I do at night. You can choose to do this early in the morning if that's comfortable for you, but always do a self analysis. What you should do is probably maintain a diary, note down what have you done, what changes have you made in your process, what changes have you made in your job, what changes have you made in your life. And if you have not made a single change in a span of a week or 2 weeks or a month, that means you probably are not heading anywhere. Change is constant. If things are changing around you, if you are constantly doing something new, this signifies a big growth, a big leap in your career. So do a self analysis. Write down what has changed. Has your job changed? Has your task changed? Has the people around you changed? Has your impact changed? Have you done anything new? Did something happen because of you this month? It could be as small as a small event that you have impacted, as small as a task that you have impacted, right? But do a performance review for yourself. This helps you remain true to yourself. Tomorrow, when somebody questions you, you will never hesitate to tell that this is what I have done so far, right? All right. Thank you so much for listening to me very patiently. I would say network, research, keep executing if you want to keep learning. This is all the takeaway that I would want you to remember. Continue to network, continue to communicate, continue to research and study a lot, and then don't forget to execute. Execution is so important. Whatever you've been thinking about, I want to start a business, start it. I want to go to an event, do it. I want to start my own band, do it. Don't be afraid to start it. Start small, but start it. You want to become a content creator, start a page. Don't worry about what you're going to post. Just start somewhere, right? As small, as funny as it could be, just start. And finally, some statistics for you. All of this is going to help you bring 80% more credibility. This is by the way, by studies that are available out there in the market. This is not some random number I whipped up. You can go cross verify it. But personal branding helps you increase your credibility. What does your credibility mean? Your trust factor, your reliability factor, the trust factor that somebody has when they see your profile. When you are able to establish a personal brand, businesses are going to find you more credible. Your recognition is going to increase. And yes, personal branding increases your career op. You having a portfolio, having your website, having a good resume, being able to talk over a good interview and highlight all of this is going to increase your chance of getting picked and hired more than 70%. So let's build brands, impactful brands, business brands, or a personal brand. My small company called PrepEdge is all about branding. We're not a marketing agency. I keep telling people this. I am not just a marketing agency. We are not just a marketing agency. I believe in branding over marketing. Marketing is, I believe, the other way around. I actually, books tell you that branding is a small part of marketing. It is in theory, but for me, branding comes with, marketing as a perk, as a small perk, one of the things that we do. So let me know if you want to connect about how you can start your personal brand. You're not alone. If you're still confused, you can always reach out to me. You can take a screenshot You can email us to know more about how you can create a good, strong LinkedIn profile, a very good brand if you want to start posting on Instagram, or you are a content creator, or even if you have any business and you're struggling with branding, then we can help you out at Prep Edge. Thank you so much to SEMS for this wonderful opportunity. And I'm very thankful to all the audience that we've had today, who've been very, very patient and have heard me out and stayed till the end. I still see almost 95% of the crowd from the beginning who have stayed till the end. Big thanks to you all, and over to the host to end the session today.
Wow, what a wonderful knowledge given by you, ma'am. I hope our audience learned many new things from this session. I would like to highlight some of the points like identity establishment, trust and credibility, emotional connection, competitive advantage. Now, question answer round. Now, ma'am, there are few questions which our audience wants to be answered. So, with your permission, shall we proceed the questions?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So, the first question is, what strategies can small businesses use to build a strong brand presence?
Very good question. There is no one answer to it. Every business has a separate branding strategy, and you need to do a lot of research and sitting down and analysis to be able to start strategizing for yourself. So, one strategy that you could use, I'm giving you some general strategies, it differs from business to business. But if you're a small business, if you're a small business that doesn't have a lot of funding, that doesn't have a lot of money, but still wants to put themselves out there, number one is invest in your team. Invest in the team that you are, or the partners that you're hiring, right? Without a team or a support or a systematic, a group of people to help you, you will not be able to take your brand forward. So you need reliable people, even if it's one person, even if it's a partnership between me and one more person, that helps a lot, right? Trusted brand. Invest in your employees. If your employees are not happy working with you, then you are not going to become a good brand outside, because your employees amplify you. My clients who worked with me are my source of bringing new clients. Word of mouth is the fastest approach, so focus on that. Second strategy to building a small business is don't be afraid to knock on doors. You have no idea how many businesses have achieved great funding opportunities by just asking. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to talk to other partners, go approach other businesses, go learn from some consultants, but ask questions. Don't be afraid ki, if I tell my idea somewhere, they're probably going to copy it. They're going to probably steal it. Don't have this mindset. Ask and knock on doors until your opportunity arrives. Email that business that you want a brand collaboration with every day. If they're not answering, email them every day. Right? Start sending 50 emails, no problem. Spam them. I mean, who cares? If they don't answer, they don't answer. But be consistent. Don't give up, right? Don't knock on 10 doors and say, I'm done here. Continue to knock on doors, right? Now, there are many other branding strategies. You can start working on giving a definitive logo, a definitive color branding, a kit, a voice to your business. But the whole key is you analyzing, strategizing, and building it. Do not just randomly start posting or randomly start approaching. First, build a strategy for yourself and then start approaching. So, that is a few small tips for a small business that you can use.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering this question. And our next question is, what's your long-term vision for the brand?
For my personal brand,
Can you?
can it be anything? Okay. So, my long term vision, it's a good question. If I speak for myself, I think my long term vision is to be able to create an impact for. If you speak personally, I want to continue to create impact, be it on the youth, be it on my peers, be it on businesses or brands in a small way. It's not that I want to get up and change the world. I mean, who doesn't want to change the world, right? Everybody wants to change the world in some manner or the other. But I want to contribute in some manner or the other. So, my long term vision is to continue to do that, whether I do it through a business or through a job or through anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether I am an owner or an entrepreneur or CEO of a big company, or whether I am just an operations analyst at some company. Doesn't matter the job and the title that I have, but my long term vision is to contribute, to make a difference, in any manner that I can to the earth, to people, and to the community that I serve or that I be with. My long term vision for my brand is also very similar. Prepage is all about creating impact. And whether we are at 30 employees today or 100 employees tomorrow, whether we are making 5 lakh profit, 20 lakh profit, 1 crore profit, doesn't matter. What we believe in is creating an impact for small businesses like us. We understand the struggle of solo entrepreneurs, of people who are small businesses and have very low budgets for marketing. We understand the pain that you have to not get enough organic connections and to not get like minded people. So, we are on a mission to empower all startups, all small businesses by giving them that brand identity for a very good price. So Prepage is all about, if you want to hire a marketing team, you're going to want you're going to need a marketing director, you're going to need a social media manager, you're going to need a content writer, and you're going to need to hire so many people with at least a package of 2 lakhs per month that you're going to spend on this team. So instead of spending that much money on hiring, you help take some help by a branding expert like us, cut down that cost. You don't have to hire from outside. We bring you that experience for only the services that you need. When you hire somebody, you have to pay them for their time no matter what, whether they come to work, whether they're working or not. You have to train them, you have to do a lot of effort on them, and then if they don't perform, you have to fire them and hire another person. It's a lot of expense for a company. So this is what we are trying to solve, which is a very big problem for a lot of businesses, is their lack of funds to hire. That's our long term vision for Prepin.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering this question. And our next question is, how will any brand stay relevant and agile in a dynamic business landscape? How will we adapt to evolving trends?
Right. I love this question so much because this was a one big question that even I had. How do I always stay relevant? Tomorrow I can become outdated. Very soon my business might become outdated. The only way to be relevant is to be very open to learning. Very open. You have to know that you're wrong. You have to assume that you're wrong always. Now I'm not saying it in a different light. Be very careful. The way I'm phrasing it is to try and motivate you to be open to learning. Don't be afraid to if somebody points out that you're wrong, that your business is doing something wrong, don't be afraid and say, no, you, what do you know? You don't know anything about our company. You're such a new member. You don't know anything about the process, right? Don't be afraid to listen to what people think about your business or about you. And I'm not saying apply everything that the customer is saying or everything that somebody is saying. Some random person walks into your office and gives you gyan about your business. I'm not saying apply it. I'm saying listen to it. Be open to listening. You can forget about it if it doesn't apply to you, right? But I will listen. If tomorrow somebody's going to walk in that door and tell me that, Kashish, there is something wrong about your business that you're doing, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to get defensive. I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen, understand. And if that doesn't apply, I'm going to park it for a while. But that is how you stay relevant. Because I'll tell you honestly, everybody gives you reality checks. If you are not getting this reality check from your customers, digital age will tell you. Instagram will tell you very quickly that you're outdated. If your customers are not responding to you well on Instagram or any social media platform, it's time for you to change. If you're not getting hired, you've applied to tens and thousands of agencies, you've sent resumes to 100 companies, but you're not getting hired, that means it's time to change. So if you are getting rejection, it's a sign for you to change and to evolve and not for you to give up and stop. So be open to that and you will continue to stay relevant. Research, and research. I would say this is one key factor for me. I continue to read every day and I continuously prove myself wrong. Almost every other week, I get proven wrong about something. So that is how I learn. And I hope that that is how you learn as well.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering this question. And our next question is, what is the ultimate purpose of branding? Is branding just beyond mere profitability? If yes, then why? Or if no, then why?
Profitability is a very small factor or an advantage of branding. Correct. Branding will, over time, after many years of probably consistent branding, will give you profitability. But profitability in what? In just revenue? Or profitability in terms of customer experience? Profitability in terms of your brand value? That is a question, right? Now, one of the key ultimate goals of branding is to not create money or to get more sales. That would be marketing, right? Marketing is the goal of marketing is to drive more sales, right? But the ultimate goal of branding is to leave an impact, is to leave a footprint on the world. Tomorrow, if Samsung disappears from the face of the earth, we're still going to remember Samsung. How many of us still remember that jingle from Nirma and MTR, right? We still remember that. It's so engraved in our minds, right? The washing powder, Nirma, it's still there. I mean, even the children that don't see that commercial today still remember that commercial, still remember that jingle. So this is the goal of branding, is that you leave an everlasting impact in the world. And this is what I personally want to do. Now when I say world, doesn't mean all 7 million people or 7 billion people in the world will remember me, but maybe 100 or 200 people that I'm interacting with will remember me for a lifetime, right? Maybe that company that I worked with, the people there, even if I leave that organization, they are going to think about me. They're going to probably remember me for who I was. So that is what we do, both with personal branding, also it's the same, with business branding, also it's the same. 100 years later, are we still going to remember Apple? Yes, it might get outdated, but we're still going to remember Apple. We're still going to remember Kitchen King, right? We're still going to remember Prestige. We're going to remember all these brands because they've created such a huge impact on the way the commercial industry looks like. So that is the goal of branding, is to leave an impact and to be remembered.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering this question. That was a very good piece of advice given to us, ma'am. Again, thank you all for attending today's webinar. And if you have any additional questions, you can contact us by email or phone. We are happy to provide additional support to you. Please follow us on our social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel for new learning.